hey there, Jim.
And of course, our main man, Ben Shapiro,
I identify.
took on the Ollie London saga, the Ollie London case. Ollie London is a sick freak who wanted to be Jimin and said that they were Jimin, is a British rich kid and a reality TV psycho who now has decided that the very same people that, if he is genuine with their claim of being non-binary, and their pronouns, their preferred pronouns are ko and rian, for the record. So before you fucking yell at me about, like, you know, right? And Jim, is it Jin Min? I don't know how you say it. Jim Min is pulling off a Rachel Dolezal specifically so they can get a little bit of clout from the reactionary right in the United States of America. They are exactly what conservatives talk about when they say, what if someone was faking that they're being trans? Like, that's why we can't have this. Like, this person is, whether they're genuinely non-binary or not, I don't know. But this person is absolutely faking, like, being Korean and bastardizing the trans experience specifically so that reactionaries can use them as a talking point to say, see, we were right. When you can't find someone who's like a trans trender, you go and you make your own. It's like Rachel Dolezal, except Rachel Dolezal, he's like worked with the NAACP. You know what I'm saying?
Identify as Korean. That's just my culture. That's my home country. That's exactly how I look now.
But people are very angry at Ollie London. What's making you so mad, bro? Bigotry? Ollie London.
Oh my God, he changed his fucking editors. Like, he's just doing this shit now. It's so. Okay, I gotta pee. Fuck.
Is just as Korean as Caitlyn Jenner is a woman. Just as Korean. Big news coming out of Britain. I think groundbreaking news. A British influencer named Ollie London is a non-binary person. They have identified as non-binary. But not only that, Ollie London, because Ollie London is a fan of apparently something called K-pop. I will admit that I was not informed on this particular trend. It is Korean pop. Ollie London is a big fan of a particular Korean pop star named Park Ji-min, and decided to have $150,000 worth of plastic surgery in order to, quote unquote, look more Korean. And now Ollie London identifies as trans Korean. Here's Ollie London explaining his new identity.
Or anyone online as British, because I identify as Korean. That's just my culture. That's my home country. That's exactly how I look now. And I also identify as Jimin. That's my Korean name. But not only that, I know it's a little bit confusing for some people. Nobody's ever come out as Jimin or Korean, but this is something that you guys know if you follow my journey for the last 8 years. I've really struggled with identity issues, with who I am.
Trans Koreans are Koreans.
So basically, I covered this last week where I talked about how this person was absolutely just using this as an opportunity to get like a little bit of clout, okay? And it's clear that that's what's going on, so that right-wing reactionaries could hop onto this and be like, trans people are silly, trans people are ridiculous. Look, this person is like obviously not Korean, but they're claiming that they're Korean. Look at how crazy this person is. Look at how much of a freak this person is. To then turn around and literally say, like, this represents all trans people. Okay? And they don't care about giving this person clout. I don't understand how you can turn around and, I don't know, seek shelter, I guess, or seek clout from an audience of people who literally want you to be euthanized. I don't get it. Because the reality is, like, this person and his followers think you are a freak. Okay? They want you to be murdered. They want you to be euthanized. So it's wild that you would turn around and seek refuge with them for a crumb of clout. You missed it, but Shabiba already said Ollie is as Korean as Caitlyn Jenner is a woman. Hella transphobic out the gate. Yeah, oh, for sure. I already know. Here's one thing Ollie London could have done if they genuinely wanted to be Korean. Learn the language. Live there for a couple years, and then apply for citizenship. But Ollie London didn't do any of that. Okay? You call them a freak too? Yeah, he is they are a freak. Okay? They are a freak. They are a freak because anyone who seeks shelter with the Republican Party, if they are legitimately non-binary, whether they're legitimately non-binary or not, it doesn't even matter. They're a freak regardless because they think that they're fucking Jimin. Okay? Like, that's why they're freaks. If you think you are a BTS fan to the degree where you're like literally like, I am this person, I identify as this person, you're a freak. It's not about being non-binary. It's about being a different person and literally trying to wear their face. Okay? And I don't know why people have this immediate notion to be like, well, every experience is valid. That will be used against you to actually shit on well-documented and legitimate valid experiences by the likes of people like Ollie London and the conservatives who will use that. Calling them a freak is a bit odd, sorry. No, the fuck it's not, dude. If you're literally getting plastic surgery to be Jimin, you're a fucking freak. It has nothing to do with being non-binary. It is a completely separate concept. If you can't fit that in your fucking brain, I don't know what to tell you. Okay? And by the way, there are a billion fucking cis people that are freaks too. And there are trans people who are freaks as well. Not because they're trans, but because they have freak-like fucking points of view on the planet. Okay? It has nothing to do with being trans. It has nothing to do with being non-binary, and everything to do with literally getting plastic surgery to the tune of hundreds of thousands of fucking dollars to look like Jimin and claim you are a human being that exists on this planet. Okay? Sorry. But go off. There are a lot of leftists who come from a place of empathy that get duped. Okay? Don't be like those leftists who get fucking duped by people like this. And they're like not even hiding it. They're literally like, I am going to fuck you over by adding Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity. And I am going to become a person that they can weaponize against you if you're a trans person. Okay? And you're out here literally like, no, sorry. It's a little fucked up that you're doing this. Jesus Christ.
Let me put it again. Trans Koreans are Koreans. Okay? And if I say it over and over, it becomes true. Now, you're going to have to explain to me why Ollie London is not a Korean. Really, and if you say things like, well, Ollie London has never been Korean, Yes, but trans women are not women. I mean, not a single trans woman has ever been a woman. Not one. And if you say, well, Ali London doesn't even have any of the characteristics of being a Korean absent surgery, I will say to you, neither does a trans woman. And if you say to me that Ali London has never gone through the experience of actually being Korean, didn't grow up Korean, I'll say neither has a trans woman. There are zero distinctions, none, between being trans Korean and being a trans person of another sex. None. In fact, the only distinctions cut in favor of being transracial rather than transsexual. You can more easily shift your race, which is, in fact, a fluid concept. See?
This is why this shit sucks. You understand? I mean, you already understand this, especially if you're a trans person. You already understand that this is a project to be created to weaponize against your entire existence, as though there is not enough like discrimination already occurring. Okay? There's a difference between your race and your gender. This distinction, regardless of what people think, is obvious. That's precisely why gender is a social construct. Okay? It's all the different working parts that tie into our comprehension of what your gender is. There's a social construct that surrounds race as well. For sure. I get it. But someone who has made the legitimate effort to become a Korean national or a Korean person is entirely different than someone who's like, I'm a Korean person now because I got eye surgery. Like there is no dysphoria for race. Okay? That's also the same reason why we disregard people who feel as though they are like animals and stuff. Okay? Now, I know that there is... dysphoria is not a requirement as a trans medicalist opinion. I know it's not a requirement. But there is no way you can make this fucking argument, dude. Would you like to make this argument? Then go ahead. I want to have like... This destroys... Here, you want to know what it is? You want to know why this is like really fucking annoying to me? Because this literally... Unfortunately, if you're looking for me to like absolutely obliterate this point of view, I can't. Because people like this literally destroy this argument. And people like you in the chat who fucking turn around and advocate for certain things literally also help this argument craft. You get that, right? And I don't think you get that. I don't think you understand that. I think you want everything to be valid and want everything to be considered to be like, you want everything to be a valid concept. And if that's your fucking point of view, then yeah, people like Ali London are going to shatter that. And just because dysphoria is not a requirement to be trans does not mean that like it is a legitimate thing that has been well documented throughout time. Okay? And makes up a pretty sizable chunk of trans people's existences. That doesn't make you a trans medicalist to recognize that. Okay? Aren't you making a bad argument? Then if it can be destroyed by this? There is no good argument against it, unfortunately. If you believe that like every experience and everything is fucking valid, if you believe that every experience is fucking valid unconditionally, then you have to acknowledge that Ollie London has neo pronouns ko and rian, and they're actually a Korean person, and maybe even Jimin. Okay? But that person is not playing in good faith. They're not like saying this is legitimate and this is actual. This is real. Do you get it? But you don't. You don't operate that way. And if you do, you're fucking crazy. I'm sorry. If you literally think that like this person is unironically fucking Korean now, and also their neo pronouns are ko and rian, and that they're actually a Korean person, and that is similar to the trans experience, then you are playing into the fucking meme. They are not actually Korean, but still deserve to be respected in their identity as a non-binary person? Yeah, which is why I'm using they, them pronouns. Like, I'm not going to be like reactionary and be like, oh, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. Like, I think that they're just looking for attention. I mean, they've shown that they're looking for attention. And I know that a lot of people get triggered by this because they're like, a lot of people claim non-binary people are looking for attention and that's why they're doing it. Well, this person is literally looking for attention. Okay? Wait, are people taking this seriously or is it just bait? I don't know. I feel like there's fucking weirdo like leftists in my audience that do get hypersensitive because I said that this is kind of similar to thinking that you're an animal or something. And unfortunately, things like that, I think, otherwise dilute. And gender is already complicated as it is, but this like otherwise dilutes a clear and coherent argument that you could launch towards gender and the trans existence. Who are you to tell if they're looking for attention or not? Why not let them identify as Korean if it makes you happy? It's completely subjective and they can be Korean if they want to be. See, this is what I mean. It's like, I mean, this person literally is just like they're baiting, right? They're just saying shit like this specifically so that they can like anger me into another stun lock. Okay? It's bait. And if you come in here and you're like, we have to acknowledge their pronouns of ko and rian, like, I guess I'm too transphobic. I'm too old and therefore transphobic if that's like where we're at. So I'll just be honest with you. As someone who advocates for trans rights, I don't understand it. And it's like, it literally does not fit in my brain. Okay? Sorry. Will this be considered cultural appropriation? I don't know what the fuck this is. Are these same people okay with Rachel Dolezal? No, of course not. I mean, I love Rachel Dolezal. She's my queen. People who transition Wait, you think gynecologists think gender is a social construct? You think trans women that have gotten bottom surgery don't go to a fucking gyno? You fucking idiot. Like, what do you think? They're just like, you think they are... What do they do? They have a pussy now. What are they going to do? Sorry, can't go to the gyno. I'm trans. They don't, Hassan, LMAO. Trans women that got bottom surgery that have pussies now don't go to the gyno. They just don't go to the doctor. Incredible, brilliant take. I mean, chat is just losing their minds now. They're doing surgical blackface. I wonder why. 100% of the people who are supporting transracial aren't trans. Yeah, exactly. I don't think they do because it's not biologically the same thing. It's just skin, not an actual vagina. That's crazy because you don't have a pussy. And I got trans people in here who do have pussies. So what's up? Like, they tell me that they're going to the gyno. You, on the other hand, are some fucking delusional cishet dude who's like, nah, they don't actually go, dog. I know. Like, why? Why say it if you have no fucking idea how this works? And no, it's not just skin, you fucking idiot. Like, it's skin in the same sense that, like, just a cis person's pussy is just skin. Everything is just skin. This is why trans people say, like, cis people should just shut the fuck up and not get involved in this. It's like, it kind of is true. You just don't know. Like, you could learn, maybe have a more informed opinion, but half the time it's literally just uninformed opinions. Oftentimes rooted within just deep bigotry of trans people.
Right? Race is a social construct, apparently. If race is a social construct, you should be able to fluidly shift between them, between the races, far more easily than sex, which is a biological concept deeply ingrained and rooted. So if you say trans women are...
I love this because, like, Ben doesn't think race is a social construct, and Ben doesn't think sex is a social, or not sex, but gender is a social construct. But for this argument, for the sake of this argument, he's, like, making it seem like he does believe in it. Just so he can fucking devalue trans people. Okay? You don't inherit your gender from your fucking parents in the same way that, like, your race is tied to your genes and to your parents, and you are born a specific race. The social applications that we have revolving around race, the social construct of race revolves around the exclusion of non-whites, for example, like the one drop rule, or the different ways that we have historically and still to this day oppressed specific races. Transracial is a thing. I invented it. If you can be transgender, you can be transracial. Live your life to the fullest. Be who you want to be and spread love. Hashtag Ollie London. Like, this person's getting like 10 fucking retweets, dude. They're not even doing a good enough job because the people that they're trying to get fucking clout from despise them. Like, they want them to be, those people want them to be murdered. You know what I mean?
Women. And if you say that everybody's a bigot, if you refuse to acknowledge that trans women are women because they're not, then you need to tell me right now. Explain to me that if Ollie London had a bunch of surgeries to appear like a woman or more like a woman and then said, I am a woman.
There are definitely ultra woke people that identify this way. I know a few that say they response to the attack helicopter meme should just be the respect the person's attack helicopter identity. Yeah, extremely online weirdos, dude. Okay. Yeah, that's insane. Sorry. Like, you're not a fucking attack helicopter, and Ollie London is not Korean. You can find people that, I mean, there are now maps, you know, minor attracted person shit. Does that make it right? No. So who gives a fuck that there are people? Yeah, they're crazy. Shut the fuck up.
You would all be cheering the bravery. So brave, so wonderful, so non-stereotypical. So just, it's not playing on stereotypes. It's not reducing femininity to a bunch of surgeries and gender dysphoria.
It's super interesting where different generations, progressives draw the line on trans rights. I mean, what is the right? Like, what is the trans right that I'm overstepping? I need someone to describe to me how I'm overstepping a trans right when I say, like, Ollie London isn't fucking Korean. Like, they're just wilding out and doing it specifically to hurt trans people. Like, that transracial things are not, it's not real to be transracial. You know? They're not even a fucking Korean national, nor do they know Korean. Man, there's a whole rabbit hole of adult maps that identify as being underage. Obviously, really super online cringe shit, but I've seen it on Twitter. That's what I'm saying. Yes, dude. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm going to use like really fucking aggressive terms here, but some people have fucking mental health problems that either go unaddressed or rather they just lean into it. Okay. That's it. You don't have to look deeper into it to be like, oh, I wonder what's going on here. This must be a valid identity or a valid reason to feel this way. Like, no. And I know that people look at that and go, well, that's a slippery slope argument that you can extend to trans existence. And I don't think that you can do that. And I'm not doing that. Okay? I don't. Gender identity is your social gender. You embody the social role of that gender. Biological gender is just your genetic X, Y, X, 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 etc. combo. Yeah. Yeah, transracial is a real thing, but it's not the thing that these guys claim it is. It's something which applies to adoptions. For example, an Asian child with black parents will have stronger racial experience that of their parents. Yeah, I understand that. It surprises me how you can say that this person cannot be Korean, but he can say that he has no gender. First of all, if you recognize that they're non-binary, you don't say he, you say they. Secondly, like, in the real world, there are going to be people who go to the extents to absolutely bastardize certain concepts for personal gain and clout. That does not make up the overwhelming majority of That does not make up the overwhelming majority of the trans experience in the same way that like conservatives will imply it does, to devalue trans people and make it seem like they're faking it for attention, or faking it because they want to win like fucking weightlifting competitions, as though like that's a good enough reason to literally get fucking obliterated in every other part of your lives, like because we make trans existence a living hell for trans people. But ultimately, you just have to recognize that some people are just fucking bad faith. I guess the place I draw the line is like when you claim you're a different race than you actually are, or when you claim that you're a different species than you actually are. Okay? That's it. That's where I draw the fucking line. And age too. You can't like think you're a different age. I mean, there's a bunch of shit that you just understand. It's disrespectful to trans people to draw the line where transphobes say we get to. What? Their pronouns are also Korean. I find it funny that leftists feel the need to defend this. Yeah, I don't understand neo pronouns. I don't get it. I hit everybody with the they them. Okay, I'm a Joe Biden Andy on that end. Okay, I know that this is a big point of contention for the Minecraft Stan Twitter crowd. Like when people are like, I'm Fae or Fairy, or I think that's the thing that people will say, and they identify as like being a fairy or something. I don't get it. I'm too fucking old, man. Okay. I don't understand it. But I also don't understand why like people say that, you know, people discriminate against you when you when people don't use neo pronouns. Like I don't. I legitimately don't understand it. Like me saying that, like me saying that Ko and Rian are not valid pronouns for Ollie London. Like, I don't know how that discriminates against them. Or me saying that they're not actually fucking Korean. I also don't fully understand how to fucking do neo pronouns. Like, how do I just say Faye when I'm referencing a person? I just wish that there were no fucking gender pronouns in the English language. Especially because, like, I had to learn gender pronouns when I learned English, coming from a Turkish background where we don't have any gender pronouns in the Turkish language. And then I had to learn this shit. And now people are like, actually, there's a lot more that you need to learn. Gender identity has an actual scientific basis that is being studied. I guess that's where you could draw the line. Yeah. But I also feel like most people that use neo pronouns don't stress being called they them. You know what I mean? Like, I've never had someone be like, how dare you not call me Faye and regard me as they them. So it's like, okay. It takes 2 seconds to ask someone what their preferred pronoun is. Not that hard. No, that's not the hard part. How are you failing to recognize this? I don't know how to use Faye or Z or Zer. Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how to like point to someone and be like, oh, Zer is just being crazy right now or something. Do you get what I'm saying? The same way other pronouns. I've seen people with pog self in their card. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, cool. Go off. Please don't get mad at me when I use they, them. Are you uncomfortable when you're talking about this stuff? At some point, I don't know what's going on anymore. I mean, I'm a little uncomfortable because, like, I don't want to make people feel shitty about themselves. But I also don't get it. You're saying this person got together with Republicans and was like, how can we own the left, decided on this, and then proceeded to go through all these surgeries to achieve it? No, I think that person already had, like, a lot of issues, right? You literally just replace the words in a sentence. He, him, his is Z, zim, zer are analogous. Okay, but it's not just Z, zim, zer. And even then it's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on there, but it's not just that. Okay, how do you use pog and pog self? How do you use co and rian? Neopronoun discourse is so useless. Just move on. This is the reason why I don't talk about it. This is the reason why I don't get it. I get into neopronouns because it's like too complicated, too convoluted. And from what I understand, most people don't get mad if you just use they, them. They went to the bar and grabbed Face Elf's drink. Okay. Imagine hearing this conversation like 20 years ago. Yeah. Those aren't the same as actual neopronouns. What? Get the fuck out of here. You're literally lying. No. Wait, who decides? Is there a council? Is there like a queer council to get together and they're like, okay, these are the acceptable neopronouns and these are not the acceptable neopronouns? Now you're just fucking gatekeeping. How about that? That's the point. That's why you're personally opening up the floodgates. To me, it feels like shifting, okay? It's like you're not shifting, you're just daydreaming. Or saying that like everything is gaslighting. You're not gaslighting all the time. You could just be an asshole who's just fucking lying, okay? Like, I'm suffering from trauma. No, you're displeased. You know what I mean?
For you? No. He would be a woman now. But if he identifies as Korean, absolutely not. Wrong. Can't do it. And so I say to you, during Pride Month, okay, it is Pride Month. Live your truth, Ollie. Live your truth. Ollie London is just as Korean as Caitlyn Jenner is a woman. Just as Korean as Caitlyn Jenner is a woman. Now you may say, well, Ollie London is just a performance artist. That doesn't matter. You don't get to invade Ollie London's truth. You don't get to tell Ollie London what they are. By the way, Ollie London has now declared their pronouns. Ollie London's pronouns, it should be noted, are now they, them, core, en. I'm not kidding you. Those are the pronouns. And I've been told that there are many different types of pronouns by no less a source than the New York Times, that people have been using neo-pronouns. So there really is no problem here. And in fact, if you don't like this, you are a bigot. So apparently, Ollie London then uploaded a flag of South Korea LGBT in Pride and said, yes, I identify as Korean. Yes, I'm non-binary. Yes, I look like Jimin. But none of this should be a reason to outcast me from society, to dehumanize.
Once you have accidentally correctly gendered a trans woman, it's over. Every argument goes back to that. Okay, boys? Here it is. Okay, and I'm using the gender neutral boys here. Ben Shapiro has correctly gendered Caitlyn Jenner in the past and has stopped himself and then literally turned around and misgendered Caitlyn Jenner deliberately because he does it out of pure malice. He does it because he's a grifter. Okay? That is the truth. So once you do that, you lose your I'm transphobic card. Okay? Sorry. You lose the argument to ever talk about a gender beyond like a social construct. That's it. Straight up. If you ever get caught correctly gendering a trans person and then stop yourself and then literally misgender them, and there's a video of this if you want, I'm sure someone in the chat can send me the link. Well, the moment you do that, you give the game away. Okay? That's it. I have to think. I'm pissed off about this story because now I have to think more about fucking race being a social construct and gender being a social construct and how these things are different from one another. And it just fucking frustrates me because it's just dumb, okay? Some things are just stupid. Some things just click and some things don't, okay?
And from
it's like a I'll know it when I see it type beat.
Orange is the New Black.
I never watched that show.
I've never watched transgender woman from Orange is the New Black.
I never watched that show.
I've never watched that show either, but she's on the cover of Time magazine.
Oh.
Or he's on the cover of Time magazine.
That's it. That's it. It's over. It's a wrap. It's GG's.
I've never watched that show.
You literally correctly gendered a trans woman and then stopped yourself and said he. It's done. You're doing it on purpose. And it's a perfect clip. Why is it a perfect clip? Because it betrays the values that Ben supposedly has. Okay? That's it. You recognize that that person is a woman. That person identifies as a woman. And you literally would never point to them and be like, can you get my bag from him? If the trans star on Orange is the New Black is out in the real world, okay, and she's sitting at a cafe, and she has your bag, and you point to a random person, you would never, Laverne Cox, thank you. In Ben Shapiro's world, he makes it seem like he would say, can you get my bag from him? Pointing to a trans woman. But you would never do that. You just would not do that. You wouldn't. So use that energy to recognize how, how you associate certain things with gender. That's all you have to say after watching that trans Korean video, classic deflecting tactics. Dude, everything he said in this video is true. Shut the fuck up. Okay, I'm just going to ban trolls. I think I went through it already. Korean as a nationality is something you can get if you actually become a Korean national. Okay? The scientific implications of your race, albeit minor differences that have larger differences in your appearance, but just minor genetic differences overall, are passed down to you from your parents in a way that gender as a social construct is not. There are socialized elements of race, the way we treat certain races, the way we understand certain races, that are socially learned. Same with gender. But ultimately, you can't just change your race and be like, I'm a different race now. Koreans aren't a race, so that destroys their whole transracial argument. Yeah, I mean, well, they could say that they identify as Asian. Okay. I know there's another JCS out there as well. Okay. Ultimately, this person is wild. I mean, they're crazy. Not because they're non-binary. They're crazy because they fucking think they're someone else. Like, and that's not valid. It's just not. You can see the difference between an invalid existence and someone who's doing it specifically for grift, and someone who's not. It's so hard to defend people nowadays because of this. I try to understand it, but it truly doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
Humanize me and shame me for being who I am, a non-binary Korean person. London's manager says that London, quote, felt strongly attached to Korea and the Korean culture and feels much more connected to this than his own culture. But people are very angry at Ollie London. You bigot.
So connected to Korean culture, yet like literally doesn't even know how to speak the language.
I don't understand why you're mad. Why are you mad? What's making you so mad, bro? Bigotry? I sense bigotry.
Doesn't even speak the language. Literally a year ago was saying, I'm not Korean. I'm not Korean. I just want to look like Jimin. Now is full-blown saying, I am Korean, and adding a bunch of reactionary Republicans specifically to join the cause and advocate for him to bastardize trans existence. Yeah, go ahead.
In fact, as Ollie London, their self, now says, quote, how come all the woke mob will devote...
Says a lot about Ben that, like, they're correctly using the right pronouns of a person only when they agree with them, by the way. It's great.
Put all their time to threatening and bullying me for being non-binary, but won't speak out against human rights abuses in China. How come woke are silent on China's concentration camps, clampdown on democracy in Hong Kong, or oppression in Tibet? Not a terrible question, Ollie London. Ollie London also writes, I'm calling out the woke mob. These are the people that always preach about liberalism, tolerance, and respecting others, but are the same people sending me thousands of death threats, telling me to take my own life, and bullying me because they don't agree with who I am.
Maybe this is how we get reactionaries that believe in trans people. I don't know. Just have like fucking... to have, you know, have a bunch of these fucking psychotic grifters come out so that reactionary propagandists can like act like they believe it. Here, I'm going to run this video.